will meet the defending champion, 115-pound Chris Warren of Dallas. That winner will face Bob Benoit of Topeka, who hopes to add a second title to one earned when he shot his perfect game in 1988. In the semifinal game, Mike Edwards of Tulsa will try to win his first PBA title. And our tournament leader also hopes to break into the winner's circle, Mark Thayer of Lafayette, Indiana. That's our outstanding field of finalists for today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast.
From Gate Bridge lies Pinole Valley Lanes, home of the ARC Open, 1991 version. A great field this week. Chris Warren, the defending champion, will be in the first match. The scores have also been very high this week, and this has been the highest scoring championship round the past 2 years on ABC television. Now, one of the most interesting people ever to bowl in a professional bowling tournament bowled here at the ARC Open. He's a very special athlete. John Burkett. Watch this arm swing. Good inside out, plenty of power on the ball, and he surely knows how to throw strikes on the lanes. But John's expertise comes as a pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. One of the best pitchers in the major leagues, had a 14-7 record this year, is looking forward to the 1991 season. And John, it was wonderful having you bowl in the bowling tournament. And how did the pros react to you coming in a pro tournament?
Oh, they were just great. I thought they might give me a little, problems here and there, but they didn't. They were real nice and gave me some tips during the week, and also, furnished me with equipment and stuff like that. So they were just fantastic.
John, you look pretty good, and really, how does bowling affect your baseball pitching, and would you like to try this after the major leagues are finished with?
Well, I think it affects it in a positive way. During the off-season, it keeps me in shape, and during the season, it keeps my arms stretched out and feeling loose. And I think maybe at the end of my baseball career, maybe come out here and give bowling a shot.
Well, John, you have the talent, and good luck in the major leagues. Now, I know you played on these lanes, but we'll show you how the players attack the championship round this week. There's very, very heavy oil, high viscosity oil on the lanes this week, just one coat down 25 feet. Then it's carried down to the 45-foot mark, and it's dry the last 15 feet of the lane. Now, the players are playing somewhat of an outside line, out around the first arrow. Some players the big hook, some straight down and in. And Chris Schenkel, there's a lot of prize money available.
Okay, we have a total prize money of $125,000, broken down in this manner: 21-12, 7,500, 6 and 5. And in our first match, seeded number 5 in this field of 5, the 1988 Player of the Year, Brian Voss from Boca Raton, Florida. We call him the cover boy. He has 9 titles, tremendous champion. What a competitor. And he goes against Chris Warren, the defending champion, who started a great year for himself right here in Pinole. Voss, first shot. Sliding by, leaving the 2-pin.
Voss, one of the best conditioned athletes in the Professional Bowlers Tour. Chris Schenkel, historically, he said he really trained hard this year. He went back to Anchorage, Alaska, and did some bowling back there. That's where he started his career at his dad's bowling center up in that area, and he did a lot of snow skiing, a lot of weightlifting, and a lot of bowling, so he's ready.
And a lot of time in the sun in Boca Raton, too. Look at that suntan. Should be happy with a spare.
Now here's the man that was really tough last year as he started a very hot 1991 season, second leading money winner on the tour, and he got it all started right here by winning the championship, trying to defend.
And Chris Warren, consecutive weeks on our telecast, having finished 5th at the Showboat last week in Las Vegas. Finished second to Emletta Monicelli, and money with $197,185.
For a little guy, 5-step delivery, real high backswing. The little guy's got to have the high backswing, good wrist action. You see the hand going all the way around the ball, but that's after he releases it. You turn it too quickly, you top it, it's no good. So watch how he stays underneath the ball, going for a double.
Oh, no.
High hit for Chris Warren. He's wearing a mic.
Boy, he just tried to guide this ball. He goes up there going for a double, very tentative, and especially with that big hook, he can't be tentative. Cuts through the middle and leaves the 3, 6, 9, 10, one of the more difficult spares in all of bowling, and he'll try to take this from the outside line. You got to take a chance on chopping the 3, 6 off the 10 to make sure you catch the 9 pin down the right side.
An open frame for the tiny mite from Dallas, Texas. He can still smile. He's got quite an attitude about competing, and I know it hurts inside.
Well, you know, players of the Chris Warren and especially the Brian Voss caliber can read an opponent, and Chris Warren looks very tentative, a little bit nervous out there, and I'm sure that bolsters the confidence of this man, Voss.
Leaving a 10 pin, the man who, if he can finish first or second today, will go over the $900,000 mark.
If you're going to design a bowler, I recommend this style. 5-step delivery, somewhat upright, then a strong drive on the pivot foot, down low, sets himself at the line, and just posts that position, sliding about 6 or 8 inches behind the foul line. Voss, one of the best all-around games in the world today. He can do it anywhere.
You'll remember last year, after his win in Sunrise, he and Andrea were married. Well, they're expecting. In fact, usually announce a tentative sort of date, but not in bowling. This is what they say, Brian and Andrea. Child is expected to be born between the Firestone Tournament of Champions and the ABC Masters Tournament.
Well, that's pretty precision, and that's his type of game. As he comes up in the third frame, leads by 13.
And we wish them that kind of luck on their first child.
Boy, that was lucky, Chris. The head pin goes to sideboard. Watch the action of the head pin. It does all the damage. You'll see the 2, 4, and 5 there. Head pin gets in there, twists behind the 8, rolls into the 2 pin, and these 3-pound, 7-ounce pins toppled over very easily.
Trailing by 13 now after an open frame. Better. We asked each of our 5 finalists what team they liked in the Super Bowl tomorrow, and these two, Brian Voss and Chris Warren, have picked the Giants. John Burkett is in the booth with Bo and me. He's a San Francisco Giant. I'm anxious to hear his pick tomorrow. John?
I think Buffalo's going to run away with it tomorrow.
Okay.
Boy, it's a good thing he knows baseball, Chris, because the Giants are going to whoop him, boy. They're going to whoop him.
Oh, he wanted that one because that double would have just cut it to within 3.
And that was a real good shot. Watch this low-angle camera. Watch the 2 pin, the 3rd pin on the left-hand part of the screen, how it drives the 4 pin straight back and leaves the solid 7. That shot would have cut Warren's lead or deficit down to just 3 pins. With the conversion, he'll still remain 13 in arrears.
All right. Marking with his spare, Chris Warren of Dallas, Texas. We'll return to Pinole, California after this. While we were away, with a strike up in the 4th frame, Brian Voss.
Voss has to get
double.
the ball, Chris, over here in the 3-pin zone, drive it over in the 4-7. Tough shot. Needs this to stay real close in the match. Ooh.
All right. Well, now each professional with an open frame, and of course it cuts Brian Voss's lead to 5 pins.
Great opening for Chris Warren, who has really struggled the first 2 frames, looked better in the 3rd and 4th frame, and now has the benefit of Voss open. Let's see what he does in the 5th.
Hurry.
Okay, the defending champion Chris Warren. We asked him why he'd been so successful in the lanes here at Pinole.
Well, basically it's a track shot, and when I miss right and the ball stays to the right, I move to the right, and when I miss left and the ball misses to the left, I move to the left. So when a pro gets lined up to this condition, he's very conducive to his game. He can score real well.
and that's the basic adjustment we give in the bowling tip of the week this week. If you're missing to the left, move your feet to the left. If you're missing to the right, move right.
Yank. Brooklyn.
You're begging for Brooklyn.
Well, John Burkett, Chris Warren looks awful shaky out there. You had a chance to bowl 18 games in the tournament. What can you tell us about the championship pair?
I can tell you one thing. Brian Voss, he's playing the same way everybody's been playing all week. He's playing the inside shot. And I've noticed that Chris Warren has gone outside. And earlier this week, if he played outside the second arrow, that ball would just take off toward the gutter. And you notice the last shot, he just misput it in the gutter. And he came back and pulled it a little bit. So that's a touchy shot out there. You see how accurate he can be.
Good point, John. And obviously the PBA lane personnel do the lanes every week. It's not a house condition. And I'll talk a little bit more to John Burkett about the difference between the experience he had in the amateur and leagues compared to his experience here in the pro tournament.
Oh, a big, powerful strike. We ask Brian to describe a special service that he has for bowlers all around the country.
Well, I decided to start a unique service in conjunction with the PBA. It's a 900 number, 900-454 Voss, and I started it to give some of the fans across the country a chance to chart not only my progress, but the other players' progress throughout the week. It's updated on a daily basis. There's also a tip of the week and various upcoming events. The proceeds will also benefit the Haven, which is a charity function in Boca Raton, Florida.
Very caring person, Brian Voss, and here on the left lane, he has left the 3-6-10.
A quick observation, John Burkett, you see players playing different lines, very difficult. Draw a quick comparison for me between the amateur bowling you've done and the scoring ability at amateur lanes compared to the pro tour.
Well, bowling in leagues, I noticed that the lanes have a lot more oil on the inside, and you can afford to throw the ball outside your target and it comes back. And if you throw it inside your target, it goes straight. Well, here, if you throw it outside, it's gone. Doesn't come back.
All right, we'll be hearing more from John Burkett after this.
Tampa side of the Super Bowl. He'll give us the announcement of the inductees into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That'll be coming up in a little while.
Hurry.
All right, nice Brooklyn strike. Let's go down to Bo.
Thank you, Chris Shackle, and the man is bowling the next match. Bob Benoit, both players struggling. One's playing the inside line, one's playing the outside line. What's going to be your game plan?
Well, I think I'm going to move in and try to play the track and not try to hook the ball as much and just try to keep it around the pocket and hopefully I'll come out ahead.
Good match game strategy when the lanes look tough. Play in, make your spares, and hopefully some strikes will come. Chris, back to you.
Now here's a shot to take the lead. Chris Warren, left lane. Lost it in the channel. They hang out there very precariously, don't they, John?
I knew playing out there by that gutter. If you get the ball outside a little bit, you miss just a little bit to the right, and it just keeps going, just like that ball did right there. And if you pull it a little bit, then it takes off Brooklyn. So you got to be really accurate with that shot.
And I think following up, John, what you said, between the amateur conditions in the country, the oil is pretty equally dispersed across the whole 42 inches of the lane surface. When you miss right, it keeps sailing. If you pull it, you pay a penalty, where in league play, obviously, you can shoot a little bit higher scores.
Chris Warren running into all kinds of problems. Golly, last week he shot a 161, and this, unbelievably.
He's looking for a relief pitcher, Chris. He's trying to be a starter. He needs a reliever.
A few wild pitches there, John.
Now Voss with a 23-pin lead, 8th frame.
Capacity crowd here at the ARC Pinole Lanes. Third year that we've been coming here. First year we had a power failure and we were off the air for about 15 minutes. Ernie Schlegel went on to win. Then last year, Brian Voss's opponent, Chris Warren, from the top seed, won his first of his 3 titles.
Big shot for Voss. He can slam the door on Warren here in the 9th frame with a strike.
Get it. Bob Benoit will be meeting the winner. You're looking at Chris Warren. His roommate, Mark Clare, is the tournament leader.
Chris Warren in a must-strike situation. 9th and 10th frames. Warren looking to the scoreboard on the side. He's in an absolute must situation. He has a potential 188 if he strikes in the 10th, 11th, and 12th frames. That would force Brian Voss to get at least 9 on the first ball or anything less in a spare. So without a strike here, Warren cannot win.
Off to the right, you'll hear the pen fall of Bob Benoit's practice
Well,
shot.
shot 170 this week. Maybe 180 if we get lucky here.
Chris often talks to himself, but then again, don't we all?
Has to have this strike. Cannot win the match without a strike here in the 11th.
Make him mark.
All right.
Make him mark.
He had only 4 strikes.
Make him mark.
In 7 frames. Now he's strung 3.
Make him mark.
Well, Chris Warren was picked in a trio of best clutch players of 1990 on the Professional Bowlers Tour with Robert Lawrence and Jim Pensek. And he has proven it here in the 10th frame as he's thrown some clutch strikes to give himself a chance against Brian Voss.
Closing with a 4-bagger and shooting 188.
For Brian Voss, any kind of a mark is a winner. 9 on the first ball is a winner. Anything less than 9 on the first ball, he can still lose the match.
Oh, Brian Voss moves ahead. Okay, from Boca Raton, Brian Voss. He'll be going against another native of Texas, Bob Benoit, now bowling out of Topeka, Kansas.
Brought to you by Bud Dry. Why ask why? Bud Dry, for refreshment that's beyond question. And by True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores.
Here in the Pinole Open, Brian Voss has defeated Chris Warren 221 to 188. Let's go to Tampa, Florida now, and my colleague Jack Arute.
Thank you, Chris. We're coming to you live from the Tampa Convention Center here in Tampa, where the NFL Hall of Fame Selection Committee has announced that they will induct 5 men into the Hall of Fame in 1991, and they include Earl Campbell, the great running back from the Houston Oilers, Tex Schramm, the president and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, former, John Stenerud, the great place kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, also played with the Packers and the Vikings. John Hanna, the offensive guard from the Boston Patriots, and Stan Jones, the outstanding offensive tackle for the Chicago Bears in the mid-50s to mid-60s. These 5 individuals become the class of 1991, and they will be formally inducted on July 27th in Canton, Ohio, as part of the Hall of Fame festivities. Now, let's go back to bowling and Chris Schenkel. Chris?
Thank you very much, Jack, and we congratulate them all, especially Tex Schramm. In the early days of broadcasting, he was my boss at one time, so I'm very proud of them all. Second game now, Brian Voss winning over Chris Warren 221 to 188, going now against Bob Benoit.
Brian Voss sliding by, and if you want to kind of look at a profile of both these players, Voss averaged 193 during the tournament, the 42 games during the week on this championship pair, whereas opponent Benoit averaged 233. Now you see Voss coming right at you, playing between the second, third arrows. That's the track area. When players refer to the track, they usually mean between the second and third arrows on the right-hand part of the lane.
Okay. Now the man that received so much acclaim in his big year in throwing that perfect 300 game here on ABC, Bob Benoit. Ten pin on the right lane for this 5'9" professional. A little heavier than Chris Warren at 150 pounds. A little older, 36 years of age.
Blows in that thumb hole to keep it nice and warm. Gives you good feel on the ball. Switches ball to a low surface friction ball. Cross lane for the 10.
You know, coming up next, ABC Sports heads to one of the most scenic golf courses in the world in Hawaii for an exciting event of the year, the Legends, the Seniors Skins Game. Nicholas, Trevino, Palmer, Player, and Rodriguez head-to-head. Big money riding on every hole. Senior Skins Game next here on ABC. Leaving a 3-pin, Bob Benoit in the left lane.
Still in the announce booth with us, John Burkett, pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. John bowled in the tournament, averaged 206, finished 74th. And John, we thank you for bowling in the tournament and being with us. And one last comment from you before we go on with this game.
Oh, yeah, Bo, I just had a great time this week, and I'd like to thank Fred Forrester for giving me the opportunity to come here. And also thanks to you, Bo, and Chris for having me up here.
Well, as Bob Benoit converts that spare, Chris Schenkel, I'm sure we'll see more of John Burkett on television with the baseball and hopefully in a few years with the bowling ball. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Every baseball fan should become a fan of John's because there's no finer guy. From Beaver, Pennsylvania, John Burkett. And Brian Voss. Opening with a spare in his second game, strike now here in the second frame. He won 221 to 188 over Chris Warren in the first match. So winner of this game, if you just joined us, will go against Mike Edwards, who was on our telecast last week. And then our tournament leader, Mark Thayer of Lafayette, Indiana.
Good shot. Good shot.
Brian, he is mic'd. Broke up the split, leading the 4-7.
Voss trying to finesse the ball in on the left-hand lane. He has struggled a little bit in both matches on that lane. The first frame, he was light, leaving the 5-8 spare. Just reduces his speed just a pinch and goes a fraction high, leaving the 4-7. But he's on the right track.
Winner of our first two tournaments this year, David Ozio, finished in a tie for 33rd with Mike Jasnow. Spare up, third frame.
Bob Benoit, just an absolutely classic type style, using the left side of the lane. Check his wrist on the backswing, full cup. Now inside out swing right next to that left leg, plays the big hook. And Chris, he's one of the players that made the transition from being a down and in or straight type shooter to the cranker style today. And how he did it is he started with like a 10-pound ball and he let it roll back on his wrist, then a 12, then a 14. Now he's up to 16. He's got that cup style. And right now he can take the lead with a strike.
Broke it up, leaving only the 10-pin, Bob Benoit, who since that perfect 300 game in 1988 has not had any luck.
Watch the head pin, gets behind the 4 and the 2 and gets a great love tap on the 2 and knocks it out, leaving the 10-pin. And we can see a pattern definitely establishing here. It's going to be the man who can hit the left-hand lane. As you see the full grip of Benoit's, the man who can hit the left-hand lane is going to be the man to beat.
All right, we're nearing the halfway point of our second game in the ARC Pinole Open. More of it after this. Now, Brian Voss, fourth frame, spare working right lane. And Brian left the 10 pin. Out on the tour, these professionals often need help. And one of the best teachers ever is a PBA Hall of Famer named John Jowdy. We wish him a speedy recovery in a San Diego hospital. A little stomach ulcer problem, I believe, but his wife is a nurse in the hospital, Brenda, so I know she'll take good care of him. All right, Brian Voss with a spare as we go to Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Mike Edwards, you'll be in the semifinal match. Mike, did you expect the lane condition to be this tough, and what's your game plan?
I didn't really expect it to be this tough. I'm probably going to have to play in and be pretty firm and straight with it. Doesn't like you can hook it too much.
Good tip from Mike Edwards right there. When lane conditions get tough, get more to the center of the lane, make those spares, and stay close in the match. Mike, good luck. Chris?
All right, Brian Voss, left lane. Fifth frame. He had 8 strikes in his victory over Chris Warren, shooting a 221 to Chris's 188. Now, closely looking at the pins, how they're set, is Bob Benoit. Didn't ask for a re-rack, so he'll be up on the approach. Spare up, fifth frame. All even, and here's his shot. Just looks effortless. After a 300 game in his first appearance, we asked him why his performance has fallen off.
Well, when I won my first title, it was kind of a fairy tale deal. I shot 300 first time on TV, and since then I've been paying my dues, and I think I put too much pressure on myself, and today I'm just going to go out and have a good time, and whatever happens, happens.
Yes, since that 300, he went 1-9 with a 183 average.
Don't win many matches in a Pro Bowlers Tour with that average, but he has a chance to take the lead here, sixth frame.
Very good. We're a body shop expert. Bob Benoit, bowling out of Topeka. He is a native Texan. Look at this reaction.
When a power player such as Benoit and most all the top pros can trip that 4 out, they're in business, because you can usually carry the light hit with all the power. Now let's see if Voss can answer. He can make the match even again with a strike here in the 6th.
Stay out, stay out.
And you may wonder why he said stay out. Actually, he wanted the ball to hit real light on the head pin and not even leave the 210. When a pro bowler gets the big hook, now here you see the pin action, how it works here. He'll come up here, he'll send it wide, and he's saying stay light, stay light. The reason being, watch the 10 pin. See, it's almost the last one to fall. He avoids the 210.
All right. Brian Voss, who is bowled in all 3 tournaments. He finished 23rd in the AC Delco Classic and 54th last week. Showboat, 5th here in the Pinole Open.
Voss, one of the most versatile players in the world today, and I think the reason being is that he learned to bowl in Anchorage, Alaska. Then he spent 4 years in Germany in the military and bowled all through Europe, and they got some really weird lane conditions over there in Europe. He learned to adjust to those, and obviously has a great game for the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Former PBA national champion Brian Voss, keeping the game close. It's our second match. We'll be back. By Benoit. However, Voss has a strike up. He'll be shooting in the 8th frame. If you just joined us, he won the first game 221 to Chris Warren's 188.
Voss wanted that shot, Chris. He could have taken the lead, and more importantly is that he has lined up on the left-hand lane. The 7th frame, he looked very confident. Here he comes up in the 8th frame on the lane he's been pretty sharp on, and he just rips the 5 over into the 7 zone. Had that head pin jumping off the sideboard, but didn't take out the 7, and he really wanted that, as we have a very close match coming up into the 9th.
We ask each of our 5 players their pick in tomorrow's Super Bowl to be seen right here on ABC. Brian Voss picked the Giants. His opponent in this game, Bob Benoit, likes the Buffalo Bills.
For Voss, as you see, the scoreboard tells the story. He's filled all the frames, Benoit all the frames, and that's the way to do it in good match game play, both playing the inside line. Now it's who can be the toughest in the 9th and 10th frames, and that's the real story on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Voss trails by 9. How disappointing. When he threw that shot in the 7th frame, Chris, he showed so much confidence on the championship pair. Then he gets the 7 pin in the 8th, the solid 10 in the 9th, and he says, boy, don't let this from bad breaks slip away from me.
Now Bob back up, and that's striking the 8th, shooting in the 9th. 10-pin lead, getting about to 20-pin lead. Just didn't get into the pocket.
This shot here, if Benoit opens, he will drop out of the lead, and the door is wide open for Voss. But no matter what happens here, Benoit still has a chance to stay in the match with a double. Bob Benoit needs to get the ball over the 1-2 zone, drive that head pin over into the 10 pin, needs to make the spare to remain in the lead.
Make an error in bowling, you cannot make up for it.
Just slides by the head pin, driving the 2-8 straight back. An open frame in a bad position, the 9th frame, a key frame in bowling, but Benoit can recover a little bit with a strike here in the 10th and 11th frames to retake the lead. If he doesn't, Voss is in the driver's seat.
Leaving a 2-pin on the left line, plagued with not the performance he'd like after his 1988 perfect 300 game.
Yeah, you can see it, Chris, the tentativeness. He just doesn't seem to want to take it. Lack of confidence. What do you think?
And he's had some personal problems, so we hope he recovers completely. He's a great guy, and what a performance. We'll never forget it, where we'll be next week with Jeannie Halsey at the Forum.
Great place to start. And this match is not over. Benoit will be 194 if he strikes. That'll force Brian Voss to get at least 17 pins in the 5th frame, which makes him marked for sure.
Another 2-pin. 193 for Bob Benoit here in our second match. Brian Voss, who won the first, 221 to 188 by Chris Warren. Winner here will meet Mike Edwards, then the tournament leader, Mark Thayer.
Voss needs a mark to win the match and go to the semifinal. Well,
Brian's pretty weak. That was pretty weak.
Talk about the film.
Been over in the area of Frank Esposito and Johnny Campos, our new PBA tournament director.
I don't shoot the spare that much.
Kind of a wry comment, sardonic to say the least. I don't shoot that spare very much. That's such a wild shot. He's left the 139. Has to just go for the pocket shot. Needs it to stay in the match.
Okay. Could we have a tie, Bo?
Well, Brian Voss, strike or 9, he wins. 8, we have a tie. 7 count once again, he would lose. So it's come down to the final shot. What do you need? What do you do when you need 9 strike to win? You got to go with your best shot to the pocket. Be aggressive. Once again, if he gets 8, we'll have a tie match and a 2-frame roll-off.
All right, by a pin, Brian Voss. So he moves up against Mike Edwards. Brian Voss of Boca Raton, Florida. Edwards of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll be back in Pinole soon. Stay tuned. 4 over Bob Benoit's 193. Next up, Mike Edwards going against Voss. Here at the Pinole Open, we're going down to the approaches now, and Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Hey, guy. Hey, Lou, slow down, bud. Hey, this is a professional bowler's tour. This is no basketball game. You guys can't knock any pins down with that basketball. Lou, no, wait, bud. Wait a second. Hollywood, come here. 16-pound ball, the one the pros use. Show Lou how to do it. You can knock those pins over. Do your thing.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Check this form. A lefty at that. I don't know about that move, Lou.
Hey.
Hey, Hollywood, not so bad, buddy. Good job, Lou. Hey, you guys. Hey, all right. Chris, great group of guys. Back to you, bud.
Yes, they are great. Very talented, too. The Harlem Globetrotters, perennial favorites. Next week's Wide World of Sports. 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 2:30 Mountain, and 4:30 Pacific time. That's next week on Wide World. Next week in the Professional Bowlers Tour, Grand Prairie, Texas. Quaker State Open again, followed by the Florida Open, Winter Haven, Florida. Bo, 6-24.
Chris, 160 men in the field, 205 average, pretty solid, 216. Here's some top players. Ferraro to Firestone, Pensek, 15 wins in a row. Bone the third, top lefty. Glatke, watch that name, good guy. Eugene McCune getting it under control. Westlake, the clutch man, in 11th. John Mazza, Dave D'Entremont, big strong guy. Hoskins, there's a power player. Thompson up there in 15th place. Frank Ellenberg, the Masters champion, who works with us at ABC. Dave Traber. Pete Weber, 18th spot. Mueller, 1700th. Brian Goebel, another good player to watch for. Berg, in his first few tournaments, doing quite well. Kent Wagner. George Branham III, one of my favorite players, in 23rd. And Kent rounds out the top 24, Chris.
Good group, and a field of 160 started, as Bo told you, and be a big field next week. And as I said a moment ago, the Globetrotters next week on Wide World of Sports, along with NutraSweet, World Challenge of Champions from Barcelona. Okay, Brian Voss, very first shot is strike. Going against now, Mike Edwards.
Chris Edwards really has his back to the wall here. He's bowling very well. He's in top shape. He's going against Brian Voss, who really has an advantage when you have a tricky pair of lanes figured out. 199's been the average for the first 4 games. Let's see what Edwards can do.
And Mike faced with, well, it's a tough shot coming up, Bo.
Tough shot. 2 schools of thought as you look at Mike Edwards leaving the 2-8-10. Ball goes a little bit wide as he swings it inside out. Pretty good shot, but he doesn't know exactly where to play the lanes. The right-hand lane a little slicker than the left. He needs to slide the 2-pin into the 10, and hopefully the 10 or 2 will bounce back into the 8. Very tough shot.
It's an open for Mike Edwards of Tulsa. Last week in Las Vegas, he was 4th in the Showboat Invitational. Had a good year last year, 78,000. The year prior to that, 86,000. Just a tremendous bowler looking for that elusive first title.
And he's the type of player, when he gets it, he'll continue to win. It's not a matter of anything else than really peer pressure, and then it's self-pressure. And once he breaks through, you'll see him many times in the winner's circle. Today could be the day.
Five pin on the left lane.
You just don't know what a terrible feeling that is when you come into a championship round in front of millions of people and you're lost. Mike Edwards had a half a dozen practice shots on the pair, but didn't get a positive ball reaction. He's been light on the right-hand lane and wildly left on lane 25.
Sticking perhaps at the line, Bo.
Well, Mike is just way off in the shot. You actually have 22 inches to make a single pin spare, and he missed by more than that, and that's a little bit inexcusable as he's off to a very shaky start against an experienced player. But I don't think Voss can really put him away. Voss has to forget about the opens that Edwards has had and just stay around the pocket and fill the frames.
And that one's out of control.
Well, for people at home who watch the Pro Bowlers Tour, they say to themselves, why can it be so tough when I bowl at my lanes at home and it's easy to get the ball in the pocket? Well, as you see the 1-2-8 down there, the lane condition is pretty equal gutter to gutter, Chris. Makes it tough.
We always have to point out that these are PBA conditions.
Well, there's about 18 to 20 pins difference between what we call house conditions and pro conditions.
Like there. Brian, going to do that. And of course, there's so much pressure here. Nothing like bowling at home.
That's for sure. And the pros want the most demanding conditions. They don't really care about scores. Scores are relative, and we bowl for a living, and people at home really mostly, by and large, bowl for sport and enjoyment, and they don't want to be fighting the lanes all week long or every league session, so it's a good matchup, similar to golf course. Make them tough for the pros and let the regular members score a pretty good round.
2-pin for Brian Voss, but both those same league bowlers really take it seriously. I have so many friends that, my goodness, you think the world was at stake.
Well, sure, everybody's competitive, and as you see how Brian Voss got to the top 24, 42, top 5, 24 game in the finals, 18 qualifying, 42 altogether as he converts this spare.
Now back, Mike Edwards. Pair of open frames, now shooting in the third, using most of the approach. So,
A very serious Mike Edwards has a world of trouble here as he's got a very difficult washout split it. And what he needs to do is get the ball over in the 1-2 zone. The 2-pin will take out the 8, and the head pin has to take out the 6 and 10 pins. The best percentage is go to the left of the head pin. Some players try to go between the 1 and 3, but it's more difficult that way.
This is really tough. Back-to-back appearances on TV this year, but yet to win that title. What's he doing differently this year?
Well, I started practicing a lot more over the break. Kept myself focused for most of the time I was off, and came out with a good outlook this year. And I'm gonna keep it going. Hopefully, win a couple titles.
And this will be his toughest week ever of a telecast, Bo, because everything is happening to our friend Mike. Oh.
Another split with two schools of thought, and the best percentage is to get the ball over in the 4-7 zone and slide it over in the 6-9-10 zone. Here's what I recommend. Get it over here, slide the 4 and 7 pins over. Now watch this shot. The ball slides over. Now watch the action. The 4 takes out the 10, slides between the 9 and 6.
Well, he had a little wry smile, and tough for him, tough for his wife, Meg, and the audience. We'll be back with our third game after this.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel and Mark there. Obviously, the lanes are very, very tough, and you have any special strategy? You bowled a title one time before, and you didn't win, but they were high scoring. This is a little bit different.
Yeah, they were a lot easier in Torrance than what they look like they're going to be today. So I'm just going to try to keep the ball in play and make some spares. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think less than 200 can win it, Mark. Good luck. Championship game coming up next. Chris?
All right, Mike Edwards, after the mark, a spare leaves a 4-pin on the left lane. For those of you that just joined us, he had 4 open frames. He's going against Brian Voss, Voss with 2 victories. First over Chris Warren, 221 to 188, and then a 1-pin victory over Bob Benoit, 194-193. Oh, back-to-back marks for Mike Edwards, trailing by 46 pins, halfway point of this third match. The winner will meet the Indiana bowler that Nelson just talked to, Mark Thayer. 9 titles, including the national championship for Brian Voss. '99 to the 5th, the strike up. Goes back to Boca Raton to see his wife following this, and then come right back to Dallas, Texas, to Grand Prairie to be exact.
Quaker State Open, but he still has a lot of work in front of him to win the Pinole Open. Can't lose the sight that any pro like Mike Edwards can get hot and nail you at the end of a game.
In his 1-pin victory over Benoit, he had 3 strikes. He had 8 in his first win. So from the Pinole Open, we're going to take this break. Okay, back again in Pinole, California in the 7th frame, leaving a 1-2-4-8. Mike Edwards, who's had trouble with splits galore, marked with a spare. And then here in the 8th, he has left a 10-pin, going for it. Starting out with 4 open frames, Tulsa professional Mike Edwards. Brian Voss, double working, shooting in the 8th, leading by 61. Okay, 3-dagger.
Well, it's all Voss's way, as he has a potential 249, and more than obviously will meet our tournament leader, Mark Thayer.
Stay focused.
Okay, Brian Voss of Boca Raton has won his 3rd match. ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. .49 for Mike Edwards, 147. Bowling is enjoyed by people from all walks of life. A lot of the professional athletes like John Burkett, who is with us today, enjoy it and do it well. So do some members of the Philadelphia Eagles. Watch. These are the Philadelphia Eagles playing on ABC's Monday Night Football. These are the Philadelphia Eagles bowling on Monday nights when they're not playing football.
This year here at the Eagles, I decided, to see if the guys would be interested in the bowling league, and just amongst the guys on our team, and the response, was well, and I found out I wasn't the only one that enjoyed bowling.
The Eagles Bowling League has developed a sense of confidence that has led the team to issue a challenge to other NFL teams that might be willing to participate in an off-season bowling tournament. Competition is fierce, but the bottom line is that the team has fun. May have other things on their minds which serve as a distraction on a given Monday night. Yet the Eagles have several messages for the professional bowlers on tour.
Please help me. I can't bowl a lick. I need some help. This is just for fun for us. We know we're not great. We're out just having a good time. And, it's really relaxing. I think there are a lot of different athletes that are professional athletes in different sports that I like to bowl just because it's so relaxing and yet you have a lot of fun. And, we know we're not pro bowlers, but we have a good time coming out here.
Watch out. About 5 more years of practice, I'll be there.
Good going, Eagles, and of course, exclusive coverage tomorrow of the silver anniversary 25th Super Bowl from Tampa, Florida, the New York Giants and the Buffalo Bills.
Well, Chris, that's the first time I've completely seen that Philadelphia Eagles piece, and that was really nice. Those guys have a lot of fun. Now, here's a man who has never won a PBA title. Mark Thayer ran away with the tournament. First shot.
Oh, right out of the gates.
You hear what he said? Right out of the gate. Disbelief. Plagued like Mike Edwards was. Now he, of course, hopes that he can stop it here in the first frame.
Well, speed control is so important in a championship pair today, and he has thrown strikes in his practice balls. He had 10 practice balls. He needs to get the ball over in the 3-6 zone, drive the 3 over into the 7, and he threw the ball a little bit harder in his practice shot, so he has to keep that speed up. Can make this split.
Thought he had it. So for 32-year-old Mark Thayer, it's an open frame. Brian Voss, 3 victories today. Goes in now the championship match.
Voss is going to be a very, very tough opponent to beat. Voss doesn't beat himself. Experienced, conditioned, he's ready.
With shots like that.
You know, I was listening to the microphone as Brian Voss was speaking to himself as he whitewashed Mike Edwards in the semifinals, and all he said is stay focused. Don't remember how much you're leading this match by, but make shots. And I think that's very important for anybody in a match game play, to not let down in one game that you have won and keep focused for the rest of the tournament. Let's see how it goes.
Well,
the left lane's been the story so far today. There's been 7 strikes on the left lane 25 and 13 on 26, and that's made the difference. And all Voss can do is throw the ball in the 4-7 zone. Make sure to get 2 pins. It'd be silly to throw away a single pin here, because when a strike is up, it counts as 2 pins in the scoreboard if you leave it standing.
so Brian Voss opening with a strike. Now an open frame. In the right lane, left of center, Mark Thayer.
Lost that ball at the bottom of the swing just a little bit, as you see the profile of Mark Thayer. A very strong game. He's upright, 5-step delivery, a little bit above the shoulder. Watch how he drives in the pivot step down through about 3 or 4 inches from the foul, and a good, solid, balanced finish. Very important. More importantly, he needs to make the 2-4-8 to stay close in the match.
Unfortunately, back-to-back open frames for Mark Thayer.
Chris, what's happening today, just to give a quick capitalization of what's happened, is that you see him go by the 2-4 and leave the 8. But it's, if you watch the bowling tip of the week, we test the lane across the left side, across the right side. These players really don't have the luxury of doing all of that right before the championship game, and they're having trouble with spares, and strikes are not coming very easily.
Still hanging in there. Mark Thayer. Now after an open, shooting in the 3rd, Brian Voss. '88 Player of the Year when he earned $225,485. In fact, he's had 4 years where he's going over 100,000, past 4 years.
And that's a result of straightening out his arm swing. Previous to 1985, Chris, he used to have a little bump in his arm swing. He'd bring it back, and on the downswing, he'd tighten up that lat muscle in the back. His swing would bounce out, and he'd pull shots in critical situations.
You see the flag and the yellow ribbon, of course. Support for those in the Persian Gulf.
Let's take a look at how Brian Voss is playing the lanes. Pretty standard moves on the lanes. He's starting on the left side of the approach. He's going to slide somewhat around left center. He's going to start the ball between the second and third arrows. He's not going to play a lot of hook. Let's watch how he does it. Pretty conventional.
All right. We're in our final match in Pinole, California. We'll be back after this. Following good performance in the fourth frame, marking with a spare, covering the 3, 9, 10.
Thayer made that split, and it keeps the pressure on Brian Voss. Brian Voss, once again, has the match slightly in control, to say the least, is 11 pins, but anything can happen. The lanes are so tough, you can make a mistake and fall behind. The key to match game play is to capitalize on the strikes. Voss has a strike up in the fourth, can take a 21-pin lead.
Okay. Brian Voss, who always wears shirts the color of the NFL team in the city where he competes. Well, he's got the San Francisco 49er red on. But he's wearing the New York Giant blue tomorrow.
I think he has the winning team, Mr. Schenkel.
Well, my alma mater, Giants. Watch it on ABC.
Right now, sixth frame, Voss could take a commanding 31-pin lead against an untested Mark Thayer.
Oh, no. 4, 6, 7, 10. Do we punt here?
I think he has to. But once again, the situation for Brian Voss is this. It's a very unmakeable split. You can make it, but the best thing to do is just take out the 6-10 or the 4-7. Don't give away that pins on a double. This is match play competition. He's just going for the 6-10. Good move.
So only 3 pins now separating, and Mark Thayer was a strike up, can take a 7-pin lead. Running that one out, leaving the 7.
Well, he just sawed that 5-pin out. It just went flying over the top of the 4 and should have gotten the 7. A bad break for Mark Thayer. Let's watch this pin action now. The ball comes in, is real wide, has tremendous roll on it. Now watch the action of the 5-pin. There it is. The 5 gets driven right behind the 7. The 2 slices out the 4. 7 doesn't fall. Thayer could have had the lead, but now still trails by 3 pins.
Okay, most Pro Bowlers start on the tour at a young age. We asked him why he didn't start until age 30.
Well, at age 19, I got married and had 2 children, so I decided to come out after I've grown my family half up, and I did come out when I was 30, and I don't regret staying home and bringing up my family. So I'm glad I did it.
Pat on the back for Mark Thayer. His wife, Kathy, is here, and his brother, Skip.
See ya.
Oh, I guess you will. He thought that one was out of the ballpark. There's Kathy. The
Kathy
mom of 2 sons, 11 and 12, Brian and Sean.
Kathy approves of it, but Chris, I agree with you. He thought that was gone, but he's been erratic with his speed control. Sometimes he's up around 19, and that time he dropped down to 17. He had 2 negatives end up with a positive on that particular shot as he gets a strike.
And, of course, Brian Voss answering with his own. Later today, in Wide World of Sports, America's Brandy Johnson and the Soviet Union's Svetlana Boginskaya are among the world's top gymnasts vying for the coveted all-around title. Skating legends Torvill and Dean return to the ice in the dance competition at the NutraSweet World Challenge of Champions from Barcelona. That's on ABC's Wide World of Sports today.
Voss, 8th frame, leads by 3, can make it 13. Strike up.
Two-pin for Brian, who is in his 4th match.
Well, he's conditioned enough, in top shape, and a player like Voss could easily bowl 25 games a day. So this is no tiring effect, but he's struggling on that left-hand lane as players have done all day long. And the key is he has to finish on that lane in the 10th frame. He has a 3-pin lead, but he hasn't really been close at all on the left-hand lane, and that'll be the critical lane if it comes down to the last shot.
Brian is, in his 9 championships, has won from almost every position. He started today in 5th. He was 0-6 from the top seed before he finally won at Riverside. But here today, can he go all the way? Well, here's the tournament leader, top seed. Strike up, shooting in the 8th. Okay. 7-pin lead by Mark Thayer of Lafayette, Indiana. Worked for Franklin Gear Company in Lafayette.
He has that ball in gear right now as he takes the lead in the 8th frame, leads by 7. Now, one of the keys to bowling under pressure is to stay balanced when you release the shot. Work from the foul line back. Watch how Thayer, under pressure, has a chance to take a 17-pin lead. 9th frame, stays balanced at the line.
Hurry. Oh, no. Dang it.
Tough spare in this situation, Chris. The 4-8. We've seen spares missed all over the lane. It seems if they pointed across towards the 4-pin, it hooks too much. As Kathy is hoping and praying her husband can make this. If they send it wide, it doesn't come up. So the best thing for Mark Thayer to do is use a lot of speed, go directly between the 4 and 7. Don't trust the hook.
All right. Kathy, receptionist for a psychiatrist in Lafayette, Indiana. Well, out here you need a psychiatrist.
Well, it seems awfully long, 90 minutes, especially for Brian Voss, who's been out there the whole championship round when lanes are so demanding. It wears on your brain. Right now, Voss trails by 5, has a potential 200 game. They are going in a 185 place. It's wide open.
ARC Open, American Recreation Centers. They've been sponsoring a PBA tournament since 1964. 26 centers in California and Texas.
Coming up the 10th frame, Brian Voss needs a clutch strike to take the lead. Now, what do you do if you're lost? I tell you, I like the theory that Mike McGrath, who's sitting in the audience, 2-time national champion, used to have in this situation. He'd move to a little tighter line, throw it a little harder, right towards the pocket. Voss needs his strike to take the lead. Went for the smooth stroke, didn't get the lane reaction he liked. He's been highlight, in and out on that lane. He's struggling, but it's not over yet. He has to make this spare to have a chance. If he misses, that man there, Mark Thayer, wins the tournament. The 2-5-8. Just giving everybody trouble all day long. Must make it.
All right. What a clutch performer. He always has been.
Voss is so disciplined, and until you experience the tough lane conditions that these pros have bowled upon today, and they don't mind it. This is championship play. They want it fair and tough some weeks. They like it, have it wide open others. But until you've experienced that, you don't realize how tough even a spare can be. But under the pressure of a championship round, even tougher. Voss still in the match. Just any count here.
Leaving a 3-pin and shooting his lowest score of the afternoon, a 179 to go with a 221, a 194, and a 249. Now, the non-winner, Mark Thayer.
Mark McDowell, last man in the Firestone Tournament Champions, could lose his eligibility on this shot. Needs a mark to win. 15-pin, fill on the 10th. Wow. very surprising. Untested at this point. He sends it wide, leaves the 2-4-10. He has to make this to possibly win the tournament. Even making it doesn't guarantee him a victory. He has to make this and get 8 pins to win. And what he must do is get that ball left of the 2-pin, drive the 2 into the 10. Wife Kathy looking on.
Come on, baby. Oh, yeah. Kathy's on her feet. Now, remember, this is a non-winner. Didn't come out on the tour until he's 30. He's 32 now. There's a shot.
What a superb recovery in a critical situation. Now he needs 8 pins to win, and that's no gimme. If he gets 7, we have a tie. 8 or better, he wins. It's a tie, Chris.
It's a tie. I can't believe everything's happened today.
Now here's what happens. It'll be a sudden death. 9th and 10th roll off for the tie. Brian Voss has been involved in one of those before. His first title came in Detroit against McCordick when he won 39-29 after tying at 176. Voss experienced in this. This is the second time in 2 years we've had a tie, a sudden death roll off in the championship game. It happened in Vegas last year. Houston beat Holman. Here we go, first chance.
Pressure on your opponent.
Super reaction to a super shot, and getting off with a strike on the tough lane, very important.
Take that. The old counter punch. This is fun, though.
It sure is. These guys, you can see the look on their face, the intensity of the pressure. It's come down to 1 frame for Mark Thayer. He's bowled 43 games, and he's still tied for the lead. 1 frame to go for Brian Voss. It's been 46 games all week. It's down to the last frame.
Giants pitcher, John Burkett, watching with all of you. He's 10th.
Carry. Carry.
Cheer him on, Kathy, mom of 2 sons.
What a sweet shot under the pressure. Recovering from that 10th frame, Chris, you don't think the emotions that's gone through this young man. He almost gives it away, then recovers it, then has a tie, then comes back to throw a double. Voss still has a chance, though. We keep doing this until we get a winner.
Oh, that's trouble. Oh, man.
Pin count so important. If he could have got 9 to spare on that, he'd have forced Voss to strike twice. But because of the short count, he has a trouble with this 2-8-10. All he can do is really take the 2-8 out. I don't think he'll try to slide the 2 into the 10. At this point, try to take the 2-8. Make sure you get a 9-pin count. That'll force Voss to get a strike and a good count in his last shot.
Nice shot.
Difference of 9,000, winning or finishing second. 21 to the winner, 12 to the runner-up.
Voss must strike on this ball. Needs a good count. This is the same situation Thayer was in when he had 7 and 8 out. For Brian Voss, needs 8 on the first ball to lock it up. Anything else, we could still have a tie or a loss. Eight pins is lockjaw.
All right, Brian Voss has won his 10th title, the ARC Pinole Open here in Pinole, California. All right. Did it over Mark there, the tournament leader. There with a 45. Brian yet to complete his 2-frame roll-off.
When you rinse first,